What if your greatest advantage in life isn't intelligence, talent, or luck, but the ability to understand people on a deeper level? This audiobook unlocks the overlooked power of social intelligence, the key to influence, trust, and lasting success. Learn to read people, connect authentically, and lead with impact. Once you master this skill, every relationship and every opportunity changes. Introduction. What if I told you the secret to unlocking every door in your personal and professional life isn't raw intelligence, charisma, or even luck, but something far more potent and shockingly underdeveloped? Imagine being able to walk into any room and instinctively know what everyone is feeling, who holds the power, and exactly what to say to spark connection, trust, and influence. Now imagine being able to do that consistently with bosses, partners, strangers, and friends. That skill? It's called social intelligence. And if you're not actively developing it, you're already falling behind. We live in a world saturated with information, but starving for connection. In an age of AI, automation, and algorithm-driven everything, the one thing that can't be authentically replicated by machines is our ability to understand, empathize with, and respond to other human beings. And yet, most of us never learned how to truly read people, how to interpret subtle social cues, or navigate emotionally charged interactions without guesswork or anxiety. Instead, we fumble through conversations, misread intentions, miss opportunities, and wonder why we feel out of sync in relationships and teams. The truth is, intelligence alone won't get you ahead. Emotional sensitivity isn't enough. The real edge, the invisible currency of success, is social intelligence. Let's get one thing straight from the outset. Social intelligence is not the same as emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is about knowing your own emotions and managing them. It's personal, inward-focused. Social intelligence is something else entirely. It's external. It's about how you perceive, interpret, and respond to others. It's about recognizing the emotions and intentions behind people's words, their silences, their body language. It's the uncanny ability to read a room, to know when to speak and when to listen, when to push and when to pause. Social intelligence is what makes some people magnetic, while others are forgettable. It's why some leaders inspire loyalty and others struggle with disengaged teams. It's why some individuals build powerful networks effortlessly while others remain invisible in the crowd. Here's the twist most people don't realize: social intelligence isn't fixed. It's not a gift bestowed at birth to a lucky few. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, trained, and mastered. This book isn't about giving you surface-level tricks or vague, feel-good advice. It's a deep dive into the mechanics of social mastery, how to read people with precision, respond with confidence, and leave a lasting impression everywhere you go. You'll learn the unspoken rules that govern conversations, connection, and trust. You'll understand why you sometimes feel invisible, misunderstood, or drained in social situations, and how to turn that around. You'll gain frameworks that can be used in meetings, relationships, interviews, negotiations, and even high-stakes confrontations. Throughout these pages, we'll unpack the real-world applications of social intelligence in both your personal and professional life. You'll discover how to build instant rapport, how to navigate difficult personalities without losing your cool, how to decode hidden emotions behind facial expressions, and how to craft responses that disarm, engage, and empower. We'll dive into high-stakes scenarios, networking events, first dates, heated arguments, boardroom power plays, and break down what socially intelligent people do differently. Here's what's coming. You'll explore the psychological cues people don't talk about, but subconsciously react to. You'll learn how social dynamics work in both small groups and large organizations, and how to position yourself effectively within them. You'll gain insight into verbal and nonverbal communication, from vocal tone to microexpressions. And most importantly, you'll walk away with actionable techniques that don't just help you survive socially, but thrive. But let me warn you. Once you begin developing social intelligence, you'll start seeing the world differently. You'll pick up on what's not being said in conversations. You'll notice how often people speak from insecurity, from fear, from habit. You'll start seeing how miscommunication derails relationships, how manipulation hides behind smiles, and how trust is both fragile and invaluable. You'll begin to see the emotional ecosystem operating underneath every interaction, and you'll know exactly how to navigate it. This book was written for people who are ready to move beyond awkwardness, self-doubt, or social burnout. It's for those who want to speak and be heard, connect and be respected. Whether you're introverted or extroverted, ambitious or anxious, rising in your career or rebuilding your confidence, you're in the right place. Because developing social intelligence is not about changing who you are. It's about unlocking your most effective, influential self. And in today's world, that's not just a nice to have. It's a must have. So here's the challenge. What if by the time you finish this book, you could walk into any situation, any conversation, and know with certainty how to connect, lead, and influence? What if you could finally feel at ease in your own skin, knowing you have the tools to navigate any social terrain? If that excites you, or even just sparks the tiniest bit of curiosity, keep reading. Because everything you're about to learn will elevate the way you think, communicate, and connect with the people around you. The transformation starts now. And once you see how powerful this can be, there's no going back. Let's begin. Chapter 1: The Social Brain. The first step in understanding the power of social intelligence is realizing that human beings are, by nature, deeply social creatures. Our brains are not just wired to think and reason, they are specifically designed to connect with other people. This is not an abstract idea, but a scientific reality, backed by decades of research in neuroscience and psychology. Understanding the evolutionary roots of the social brain. Our social brains didn't emerge overnight. They are the result of millions of years of evolution. Early humans, like all social animals, needed to form strong bonds with others to survive. Whether in small tribes or larger communities, survival often depended on cooperation and mutual support. This drive for social connection became ingrained in the very structure of our brains. As a result, human beings evolved specialized neural systems that help us navigate the complex web of social interactions. The evolutionary foundation of the social brain can be traced to the development of certain key areas, such as the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, and insula. These brain regions play essential roles in processing emotions, reading facial expressions, and understanding social cues. The development of these brain areas helped early humans navigate their social environments, form alliances, and avoid threats. This evolutionary adaptation was crucial for survival, and it laid the foundation for the sophisticated social intelligence we possess today. Mirror neurons, the empathy engine. One of the most fascinating aspects of the human brain is the presence of mirror neurons. These are specialized cells that allow us to empathize with others. When we observe someone performing an action or experiencing an emotion, these neurons fire in our brain as though we were doing the same thing ourselves. This enables us to feel what others feel and understand their emotions more deeply. Mirror neurons are a key component of empathy. They form a vital part of our social brain. This neural mechanism allows us to connect with others on a deeply emotional level. It is the basis for the powerful sense of shared experience that forms the foundation of human relationships. The role of the prefrontal cortex, a social decision maker. One of the most critical regions involved in social intelligence is the prefrontal cortex, or PFC, the area at the front of the brain responsible for higher-level thinking, decision-making, and self-regulation. This part of the brain helps us make decisions based not only on logic, but also on social and emotional considerations. The prefrontal cortex is what allows us to weigh social consequences, choose behaviors that align with our values, and regulate our impulses in social settings. When you meet someone new, the PFC is hard at work. It's not just analyzing their words, but also interpreting their body language, facial expressions, and the tone of their voice. The PFC helps us assess the emotional context of a conversation and decide how to respond. This complex decision-making process happens in split seconds, showing how deeply attuned our brain is to social interactions. Over time, these quick assessments become second nature, allowing us to navigate social situations with ease and confidence. The prefrontal cortex also plays a role in managing social relationships. It helps us maintain self-control in difficult situations, like restraining from saying something inappropriate, or recognizing the right moment to speak in a group setting. It helps us understand the emotional landscape and determine how best to engage with others. This brain region is central to handling group dynamics, whether at work, school, or home. The amygdala, the emotional signal center. Another key player in the social brain is the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system. It's responsible for detecting threats in our environment and triggering the appropriate emotional response, such as fear when encountering danger, or joy when seeing a loved one. But the amygdala's role goes beyond survival. It plays a significant role in social interactions. In social situations, the amygdala helps us process the emotional signals of others. When we see someone's expression, hear their tone, or observe their posture, the amygdala helps us interpret those signals and decide how to respond. For example, if someone is smiling and speaking warmly, the amygdala signals that the person is approachable and safe. But if they are frowning or crossing their arms, the amygdala may alert us to potential tension or conflict. These rapid emotional responses are essential for navigating complex social environments. The amygdala is also deeply involved in social learning. It helps us remember emotional experiences and associate them with people or situations. This learning is crucial for building social intelligence. As we have more experiences, the amygdala helps us fine-tune our understanding of others and adjust our responses accordingly. This ability to adapt and grow is a hallmark of emotionally and socially intelligent people. The insula, a gateway to empathy. Deep within the brain lies the insula, a region that plays a crucial role in empathy. It processes bodily sensations and emotions and helps us feel what others are feeling. The insula becomes active when we witness someone in pain, feel disgust, or share in someone's joy. It's this activation that allows us to experience shared emotions and form a basis for compassionate behavior. The insula also helps us in social decision-making. It enables us to consider the emotional consequences of our actions. It plays a role in moral reasoning, helping us understand how our behavior affects the well-being of others. In this way, the insula is essential to connecting on an emotional level. It allows us to tune into others, recognize their emotional states, and respond with empathy and care. The brain's social architecture. The brain's social architecture is incredibly complex, but also remarkably efficient. From the prefrontal cortex that guides our decisions, to the amygdala that scans emotional signals, to the insula that allows us to feel others' emotions. Every part of the brain contributes to how we understand, navigate, and respond to the people around us. This chapter has only scratched the surface of how the brain processes social information. But this foundation is essential. In the next sections, we'll explore how these neural systems work together to shape behavior, and how you can refine your social intelligence to become more connected, more confident, and more effective in your interactions. Understanding the social brain is the first step in mastering social intelligence. By recognizing that our brains are literally wired for connection, we can begin to unlock the power of empathy, communication, and emotional awareness. These are the keys to building deep, meaningful relationships in both our personal and professional lives. In the chapters that follow, we'll continue to explore the nuances of social intelligence, equipping you with the insight, tools, and strategies to connect authentically, listen deeply, and communicate powerfully. Because when you understand the brain's social architecture, you don't just survive in social situations. You thrive. And that is the beginning of true influence. Let's continue. Chapter 2: The Nature of Empathy. Defining empathy and its role in human connection. Empathy is often referred to as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. But empathy is more than just feeling for someone else. It's a complex and dynamic process involving both emotional and cognitive components. It's the cornerstone of social intelligence, a key ingredient that enables us to forge strong, meaningful connections with the people around us. In simple terms, empathy is what allows us to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, to feel what they're feeling, and to respond in a way that is supportive and compassionate. When someone shares their grief with us, empathy allows us to feel their sadness. When someone experiences joy, empathy allows us to celebrate with them. It is, in many ways, the thread that binds us to others, allowing us to relate to their emotions and experiences. However, empathy is not a one-size-fits-all concept. It comes in various forms, from the deep emotional resonance we feel when someone close to us is in pain, to the more cognitive understanding of someone's emotions in a less personal context. And while empathy can feel automatic, it is also a skill, one that is shaped by both biology and experience. In this chapter, we'll explore the multiple dimensions of empathy, how it works in the brain, and how it influences our social interactions. The emotional and cognitive components of empathy. Empathy is commonly divided into two components: emotional empathy and cognitive empathy. Emotional empathy refers to the capacity to directly feel another person's emotions. When someone else is sad, we might feel sadness as well. This form of empathy involves our ability to sense and resonate with the emotional states of others. It's what allows us to connect with someone who is grieving or anxious, because we can feel those emotions in our own bodies. Cognitive empathy, on the other hand, is the ability to understand what someone else is going through, even if we don't necessarily feel the same emotions. It's the ability to step back, observe, and recognize someone else's emotional state without becoming overwhelmed by it. Cognitive empathy allows us to empathize with someone even if we haven't experienced the same situation they're facing. For example, we may not have experienced a specific type of loss, but cognitive empathy enables us to understand how that loss might feel to someone else. Both forms of empathy are essential in social interactions. Emotional empathy enables us to bond with others, to offer comfort and support in moments of distress. Cognitive empathy allows us to navigate social situations with understanding and perspective. By balancing both emotional and cognitive empathy, we can respond to others in ways that are not only compassionate, but also appropriate to the context. The neuroscience of empathy. Empathy is not just a social or emotional phenomenon. It has deep roots in the structure of the brain. At its core, empathy is a brain function. And understanding how the brain facilitates empathy gives us a deeper appreciation for its power in our social lives. The brain regions most involved in empathy include the anterior insula, the anterior cingulate cortex, and the mirror neuron system. The insula, which we briefly touched upon in Chapter 1, plays a significant role in both emotional and cognitive empathy. It processes bodily sensations and emotions, and is activated when we observe someone in pain or distress. The insula enables us to feel the distress in our own bodies. It's as though the insula allows us to mirror another person's emotional state, which is why it's often referred to as the brain's empathy center. The anterior cingulate cortex, or ACC, also plays a crucial role in empathy, especially when it comes to emotional regulation. When we experience empathy for someone else, the ACC helps us process those emotions and decide how to respond. It enables us to modulate our emotional reactions, so we don't become overwhelmed by the emotions of others. This regulation is important because it prevents emotional burnout and keeps us in a position to be helpful. Mirror neurons, the empathy circuit. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of empathy at the neurological level is the role of mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are specialized brain cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing that same action. These neurons form the basis for our ability to understand the emotions and intentions of others. When we see someone smile, our mirror neurons fire as though we are smiling ourselves. When we see someone in pain, the same neurons activate, allowing us to feel their discomfort. Mirror neurons provide the foundation for both emotional and cognitive empathy, enabling us to resonate with others' experiences and feelings. The impact of empathy on social behavior. Empathy has a profound impact on how we behave in social situations. It guides our actions, informs our decisions, and shapes our relationships in subtle but powerful ways. When we empathize with someone, we are more likely to engage in pro-social behaviors, actions that benefit others and promote social harmony. For example, when we see someone in distress, our empathy motivates us to help. That help could take many forms. Offering a comforting word, giving physical assistance, or simply being emotionally present. Empathy drives us to care for others. It's not just a moral obligation, it's an instinctual emotional response embedded in our social brains. Empathy also plays a key role in conflict resolution. When we understand the emotions and perspectives of others, we're better able to de-escalate tense situations and find common ground. For example, in a disagreement, empathizing with the other person's feelings allows us to navigate the conversation with compassion and respect. Rather than reacting defensively, we respond thoughtfully. Empathy promotes mutual understanding, collaboration, and resolution. It's also essential to building and maintaining relationships. Whether in friendships, partnerships, families, or teams, empathy is the glue that holds people together. By regularly showing empathy, we communicate that we are attuned to others' emotional needs. This builds trust, loyalty, and deeper emotional bonds. Empathy allows us to be present, not just physically, but emotionally, in ways that truly matter. The limits and challenges of empathy. While empathy is essential, it isn't always easy. In fact, it has its own limits and challenges. Sometimes, we may find ourselves emotionally overwhelmed by the pain of others. This is known as empathic distress or compassion fatigue. When we feel too deeply, it becomes difficult to maintain the emotional balance needed to respond effectively. This is especially common among caregivers, therapists, healthcare workers, and others in high empathy professions. Over time, repeated exposure to others' suffering can lead to burnout or even a numbness to emotions. To combat this, it's important to regulate emotional responses and practice consistent self-care. Another challenge is the empathy gap, our difficulty empathizing with those who are different from us. Cultural, social, or ideological differences can make it hard to understand someone's perspective or emotions. In these cases, cognitive empathy becomes especially important. We might not feel what they feel, but we can still try to understand what they're experiencing. This is where curiosity, open-mindedness, and active effort play a key role in bridging those gaps. Cultivating and expanding empathy. Empathy, like any skill, can be cultivated and strengthened. It requires practice, mindfulness, and intentional effort. One of the most effective tools for cultivating empathy is active listening. When we truly listen, without interrupting, judging, or rushing to respond, we create a space for real emotional connection. We begin to hear not just words, but tone, energy, and emotion. Active listening means being fully present and paying attention to what is said, as well as what is unspoken. Another key practice is perspective taking. This involves consciously putting yourself in another person's place, asking, what might they be feeling right now? What is this experience like for them? How would I want to be treated in their position? Perspective taking opens us to understand people who are different from us, across lines of background, belief, or behavior. Finally, empathy grows through self-awareness. By tuning into our own emotional responses, we become more aware of how we engage with others. We begin to recognize where we may be closing off, or where we can lean in with more compassion. Conclusion of Chapter 2. Empathy is at the heart of social intelligence. It allows us to connect with others on a deep emotional level, fostering trust, compassion, and mutual understanding. It drives prosocial behavior, enhances communication, and helps us navigate social complexity with emotional insight. Empathy is not just a trait, it's a trainable skill, supported by brain systems like the insula, anterior cingulate cortex, and mirror neurons. And while empathy can be challenging, it's also one of the most transformative tools we have for connection. By intentionally cultivating empathy, we not only become better listeners, leaders, and friends, we become more human. In the chapters to come, we'll continue building on this foundation and explore how empathy integrates with other elements of social intelligence to shape influence, leadership, and meaningful connection. Let's move forward. Chapter 3: The Power of Nonverbal Communication. We all know the importance of words in communication. But research shows that up to 93% of communication is nonverbal. This includes facial expressions, body language, posture, tone of voice, and even subtle changes in our behavior that can convey powerful messages, often without us even being aware of it. Nonverbal communication is an essential element of how we understand and connect with others. It operates on a level far deeper than words, often revealing more about our feelings, intentions, and emotions than we may intend to express verbally. The human brain is highly tuned to pick up on these nonverbal signals. From the tilt of a head to the way a person stands, our brains are constantly processing a flood of nonverbal cues. Understanding these cues is critical for building strong relationships, both personally and professionally. As we delve into the intricacies of nonverbal communication, we'll see how vital it is to our ability to navigate social interactions, foster empathy, and develop lasting social intelligence. In this chapter, we'll explore the different types of nonverbal communication and the underlying psychological principles that govern them. By learning how nonverbal communication works, we can more accurately interpret the emotions and intentions of others, while also becoming more mindful of the signals we send ourselves. The basics of nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication includes a wide array of signals and behaviors. Let's explore the 5 most common and impactful types. 1. Facial expressions. Our faces are incredibly expressive, conveying a wide range of emotions from joy and surprise to sadness and anger. In fact, facial expressions are one of the most universally understood forms of nonverbal communication, transcending cultural boundaries. Research by psychologist Paul Ekman shows that people around the world can recognize basic emotions such as happiness, anger, fear, sadness, surprise, and disgust based on facial expressions alone. The key to understanding facial expressions lies in recognizing the subtle movements of muscles around the eyes, mouth, and forehead. For example, a genuine smile, known as a Duchenne smile, involves activation of both the mouth and the eyes. A forced smile typically only involves movement around the mouth. Recognizing these subtle differences enhances our ability to understand the true emotional state of others. 2. Body language and posture. Our bodies convey a wealth of information, often unconsciously. The way we sit, stand, or move can communicate confidence, anxiety, openness, defensiveness, or even aggression. For example, open body language, standing tall with shoulders back and arms uncrossed, signals confidence and approachability. Closed body language, crossed arms, hunched shoulders, or avoiding eye contact, can indicate discomfort, resistance, or lack of interest. Posture also plays a vital role. Leaning in during a conversation can show engagement and curiosity, while leaning away might suggest boredom or disconnection. How we position our bodies in relation to others reveals a lot about our comfort level, confidence, and the power dynamics at play. 3. Gestures. We often use hand gestures to emphasize our words or to convey meaning on their own. Some gestures are universal, while others are deeply cultural. A thumbs up often means approval in many parts of the world. A wave is a common gesture for greeting or saying goodbye. But gestures can mean different things depending on the culture. For instance, the gesture of crossing one's fingers to symbolize hope may be understood in one place, but be confusing or meaningless elsewhere. The intensity, frequency, and rhythm of our gestures can also reflect our emotional state. Nervousness may result in fidgeting, tapping, or repetitive movements. Confidence, in contrast, is expressed through deliberate, calm, and expansive gestures. 4. Eye contact. Eye contact is one of the most powerful forms of nonverbal communication. It's often said that the eyes are the windows to the soul, and that's because they convey so much information about how we're feeling. A prolonged gaze can communicate interest, affection, or even dominance. Avoiding eye contact may suggest shyness, dishonesty, or discomfort. But interpretation can vary widely depending on culture. In some cultures, steady eye contact is a sign of respect. In others, too much eye contact may feel aggressive or disrespectful. Reading eye contact effectively requires sensitivity to both context and culture. 5. Tone of voice and paralanguage. The way we say something can be just as important as what we say. Paralanguage refers to nonverbal elements of speech, including tone, pitch, speed, and volume. A high-pitched, fast tone may signal excitement or anxiety. A slow, low-pitched tone may suggest confidence, calmness, or even boredom. Paralanguage also reveals sarcasm, affection, or irritation. The same sentence, "I'm fine," can carry wildly different meanings depending on how it's said. Paying attention to tone and rhythm is essential for understanding true meaning beneath spoken words. The psychology behind nonverbal cues. The power of nonverbal communication lies in its connection to the emotional and psychological systems of the brain. Let's look at 3 key brain regions that help us interpret and express nonverbal communication. 1. The amygdala, emotional response center. The amygdala is responsible for processing fear, threat, and emotional salience. When we see nonverbal cues, like a clenched jaw or furrowed brow, the amygdala rapidly interprets whether those signals are positive, neutral, or negative. It helps us instinctively react, whether that's moving toward a friendly face or stepping away from perceived hostility. 2. The prefrontal cortex, social judgment and regulation. The prefrontal cortex helps us interpret social signals and regulate our responses. When you see someone slouched or avoiding eye contact, your prefrontal cortex evaluates their behavior and helps decide how to respond appropriately. It lets us choose a thoughtful, socially intelligent action rather than simply reacting on instinct. 3. The insula, empathy and shared emotion. The insula processes bodily sensations and feelings, especially those linked to empathy. When we witness nonverbal cues like sadness or distress, the insula helps us tune into those emotions, creating a sense of shared experience. This function is critical in building emotional awareness and compassion, helping us to feel with, not just for, others. Nonverbal communication builds trust and connection. Trust is the foundation of every healthy relationship. And nonverbal communication is its earliest signal. A genuine smile, a firm handshake, or open posture. These can create an instant sense of trustworthiness and warmth. On the other hand, crossed arms, darting eyes, or restlessness may unconsciously signal dishonesty, tension, or disinterest. One powerful way to build trust is through mirroring. When we subtly reflect another person's gestures, posture, or expressions, we communicate affinity and connection without saying a word. This natural phenomenon is called nonverbal synchrony, and it's been shown to increase rapport and cooperation in both personal and professional interactions. Most importantly, when our nonverbal signals align with our verbal messages, we communicate with authenticity and clarity. Improving your nonverbal communication skills. Here are 3 key strategies to enhance your awareness and effectiveness in nonverbal communication. 1. Increase self-awareness. Pay close attention to your own body language, facial expressions, and tone. Ask yourself, am I sending warmth and openness? Is my posture aligned with what I'm trying to express? Becoming more mindful of your own nonverbal behavior helps you engage more authentically and improve how others perceive you. 2. Observe others more closely. Watch how people around you use expressions, gestures, and tone. Notice patterns, like how someone's tone changes when they're excited, or how their posture shifts when they're uncomfortable. The more you observe, the better you become at reading others accurately and responding with emotional intelligence. 3. Practice active listening. Active listening isn't just about words. It's also about tuning into nonverbal signals like tone, pauses, eye contact, and facial expressions. When you fully engage in a conversation, with your ears, your eyes, and your intuition, you create deeper understanding, stronger rapport, and more meaningful connection. Conclusion of Chapter 3. Nonverbal communication is a powerful and often overlooked force in human interaction. It influences how we express ourselves, how we are perceived by others, and how we build relationships. By becoming more aware of your own nonverbal signals and learning to decode the unspoken messages of others, you strengthen your social intelligence, deepen your empathy, and enhance your ability to lead, connect, and influence. Mastering the language of nonverbal communication doesn't just make you a better communicator. It makes you a more trusted, more relatable, and more effective human being. Let's carry these insights forward and build on them in the next chapter. Chapter 4: Emotional Intelligence and its Role in Social Interactions. The concept of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, often referred to as EQ, is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, as well as the ability to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. Unlike intellectual intelligence, or IQ, which primarily focuses on cognitive abilities and problem-solving skills, emotional intelligence emphasizes emotional awareness, empathy, and interpersonal skills. It's a concept that was popularized by psychologist Daniel Goleman in the mid-1990s and has since become recognized as a key factor in both personal and professional success. Emotional intelligence is fundamental to effective communication and social interactions because it helps us navigate the complex web of emotions that underlie most human behavior. EQ affects how we perceive ourselves and others. It impacts how we react to situations and how we relate to people on a deeper level. Emotional intelligence consists of several core components. These work together to enhance our emotional balance and social effectiveness. Self-awareness. The first component is self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize and understand our own emotions and their impact on our thoughts and behaviors. When we're self-aware, we can accurately assess how we're feeling and why we feel that way, which helps us respond more thoughtfully to situations and interactions. It also allows us to identify our strengths and weaknesses. This insight helps us make better decisions and take more appropriate actions, whether in our personal lives or professional roles. Self-regulation. The second component is self-regulation, the ability to control and manage our emotions, especially in stressful or challenging situations. Self-regulation is essential for staying emotionally balanced and composed when facing conflict, frustration, or disappointment. People with strong emotional intelligence are skilled at managing their impulses. They stay calm under pressure and make thoughtful, deliberate decisions rather than reacting out of anger, fear, or frustration. Motivation. The third component is motivation, the inner drive to set meaningful goals and work toward them with purpose. Those with high EQ tend to be more motivated and resilient. They can persevere through obstacles, maintain focus on their goals, and stay optimistic, even in the face of adversity. This kind of motivation isn't driven by external rewards, but by internal values, such as purpose, fulfillment, or growth. Empathy. The fourth component is empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Empathy is crucial for building meaningful connections. It enables us to relate to people on an emotional level, offering support and understanding when they need it most. Empathetic people listen attentively. They recognize emotional cues. And they respond in ways that are both compassionate and constructive. Social skills. Finally, we have social skills, the practical application of emotional intelligence. Social skills include our ability to communicate clearly, build relationships, and collaborate effectively with others. These skills help us manage conflicts, influence people positively, and work well in teams. In many ways, social skills are where emotional intelligence comes to life in our daily interactions, relationships, and leadership roles. How emotional intelligence impacts social interactions. EQ plays a powerful role in shaping how we connect with others, resolve conflict, and build lasting relationships. At its core, emotional intelligence functions like a kind of social radar. It helps us tune into the emotional undercurrents of conversations and interactions. When we engage with someone, we aren't just hearing their words, we're also processing their tone, body language, and facial expressions. These nonverbal cues carry emotional information, and emotionally intelligent people are especially good at reading them. They can sense when someone is feeling anxious, irritated, or disengaged, and adjust their response accordingly. In contrast, those with lower emotional intelligence may miss these cues, which can lead to miscommunication or awkwardness. Empathy and rapport. One of the most important ways EQ enhances social interaction is through empathy. Empathy is the ability to step into another person's emotional world. It goes beyond sympathy, which is feeling sorry for someone, and involves truly understanding how they feel. Empathy builds rapport. It deepens trust. And it creates emotional safety, making people more likely to share openly. In both personal and professional relationships, empathy fosters stronger connections. Empathetic individuals tend to be better listeners. They respond with compassion, and they're more likely to engage in supportive behaviors, all of which strengthen social bonds. Conflict resolution. Emotional intelligence also improves how we handle conflict. Disagreements are a normal part of human interaction, but how we manage them can either strengthen or damage relationships. People with high EQ can regulate their emotions and stay calm during tense situations. Rather than reacting defensively, they seek to understand the other person's perspective. They look for common ground. They use empathy to de-escalate the situation, and they communicate in a way that promotes collaboration. On the other hand, low EQ often results in impulsive reactions, like yelling, shutting down, or making personal attacks. These responses usually make the conflict worse. EQ helps us move through conflict with maturity and mutual respect. Relationships and leadership. Emotional intelligence is essential for building healthy relationships, whether with friends, partners, or coworkers. It allows us to connect more deeply, resolve issues more peacefully, and support one another with understanding. In the workplace, EQ is especially important for leadership. Leaders with high emotional intelligence can manage team dynamics more effectively. They communicate clearly. They inspire trust. And they're better equipped to guide their teams through stress or uncertainty. They also tend to be more self-aware and less reactive, which allows them to model emotional maturity and calm for their teams. In short, EQ doesn't just help you lead others. It helps you lead yourself. The benefits of emotional intelligence. The benefits of high EQ extend far beyond better communication. Research shows that people with strong emotional intelligence tend to have more fulfilling relationships, better mental health, and higher levels of career success. They're less likely to suffer from chronic stress because they're better at managing emotional pressure. They're also more adaptable, more resilient, and more capable of staying focused and solution-oriented during times of change. In some studies, emotional intelligence has even been linked to better physical health outcomes, like lower blood pressure and stronger immune response, due to lower stress levels over time. Simply put, EQ contributes to overall well-being, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Emotional intelligence and leadership. In leadership, emotional intelligence is often the difference between a good manager and a great one. Leaders with high EQ build stronger teams. They know how to motivate people, how to handle interpersonal challenges, and how to create a positive work culture. They are empathetic listeners. They respond calmly in crisis. And they consider the emotional impact of their decisions, not just the practical outcome. As a result, they earn more trust, loyalty, and engagement from those they lead. EQ is especially valuable in times of uncertainty, when people are looking for reassurance, direction, and stability. How to develop emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence isn't fixed. Like any skill, it can be developed with intention and practice. Here are 4 powerful strategies to help you strengthen your EQ. 1. Practice self-reflection. Spend time each day examining your emotions. Ask yourself, what did I feel today, and why? How did my emotions affect the way I spoke, acted, or made decisions? Journaling can help clarify these patterns. Self-awareness is the starting point of growth. 2. Regulate your emotions. Learn to calm yourself in the heat of the moment. Use deep breathing, mindfulness, or grounding techniques to pause before you react. Regulating your emotions allows you to respond, not just react. 3. Build empathy. Make an effort to really listen. When others speak, give them your full attention and try to understand not just what they're saying, but how they're feeling. Ask clarifying questions. Reflect back what you hear. Let people feel seen and understood. 4. Improve your social skills. Pay attention to how you communicate. Practice being open, respectful, and clear. Notice how your words and your tone impact others. The more you practice, the more natural these interactions will become. Conclusion of Chapter 4. Emotional intelligence is more than a soft skill, it's a life skill. It empowers us to connect with others, manage our emotions, and navigate social complexity with wisdom and compassion. Whether in the boardroom, the classroom, or at home, EQ helps us build trust, resolve conflicts, and foster deeper, more authentic relationships. It is not about suppressing emotions. It's about understanding them and using that awareness to connect more powerfully with the world around us. By developing our emotional intelligence, we become more resilient, more empathetic, and ultimately, more effective human beings. Chapter 5. Mastering the Art of Communication. Effective communication is the foundation of social intelligence. It is how we express our thoughts, share our emotions, and connect with others. While communication may seem simple on the surface, it is a complex skill that requires awareness, intentionality, and practice. It's not just about what we say, it's about how we say it, when we say it, and how it's received by others. At its core, communication is about connection. It's about creating understanding between people, sharing ideas, emotions, and intentions in a way that fosters mutual respect and clarity. In this chapter, we'll explore the essential elements of communication, the barriers that hinder effective dialogue, and the techniques that can elevate your ability to communicate with confidence and precision. Whether you're having a casual conversation, giving a presentation, or navigating a difficult discussion, mastering the art of communication will empower you to connect more deeply, lead more effectively, and build stronger relationships. The 3 components of communication. Communication consists of 3 primary components: verbal communication, nonverbal communication, and active listening. Each plays a crucial role in how messages are delivered, received, and interpreted. 1. Verbal communication. Verbal communication refers to the words we use to convey our thoughts, ideas, and emotions. It includes spoken language, written language, and the structure of our sentences. Choosing the right words is important, but equally important is the tone, pace, and clarity with which we deliver them. Effective verbal communication involves being clear, concise, and intentional. It requires us to consider our audience, the context of the conversation, and the impact our words will have. Using positive, respectful language fosters openness and collaboration, while negative or critical language can create tension and defensiveness. 2. Nonverbal communication. As we've discussed in previous chapters, nonverbal communication includes body language, facial expressions, gestures, posture, and tone of voice. These cues often convey more meaning than the words themselves. In fact, nonverbal signals can reinforce or contradict what is being said. For example, if someone says, "I'm fine," but their arms are crossed and they avoid eye contact, the nonverbal cues may suggest they're actually upset or withdrawn. Being aware of your own nonverbal signals and being able to interpret those of others is key to effective communication. 3. Active listening. Perhaps the most overlooked component of communication is listening. Many people hear others speak, but don't truly listen. Active listening involves fully engaging in the conversation, paying attention to both verbal and nonverbal messages, and responding with empathy and understanding. It requires us to set aside distractions, suspend judgment, and focus completely on the speaker. It's about making the other person feel seen, heard, and valued. When we listen actively, we not only understand others better, we also build trust, rapport, and mutual respect. Common communication barriers. Even with the best intentions, communication can easily break down. Understanding the common barriers to effective communication is the first step toward overcoming them. 1. Assumptions and misunderstandings. We often assume we know what someone means or how they feel, without asking for clarification. These assumptions can lead to misunderstandings and miscommunication. Clarifying meaning, asking questions, and summarizing what we've heard can prevent these errors and ensure we're truly on the same page. 2. Emotional interference. Strong emotions, such as anger, fear, or defensiveness, can cloud our ability to communicate clearly. When we're emotionally triggered, we may speak impulsively, misinterpret others' intentions, or shut down completely. Learning to manage our emotions and regulate our responses is essential for keeping communication constructive. 3. Lack of presence. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to be distracted during conversations. Whether we're checking our phones or thinking about our to-do list, our lack of presence signals to others that they're not important. Being fully present, making eye contact, nodding, and responding thoughtfully shows that we value the other person and their perspective. 4. Poor listening habits. Interrupting, finishing others' sentences, or thinking about what we're going to say next are signs of poor listening. These habits prevent us from truly hearing what the other person is saying, and can make them feel dismissed or unheard. Cultivating patience and curiosity allows us to become better listeners and more effective communicators. Techniques for effective communication. Mastering communication involves developing a set of practical skills that can be applied in any context, from everyday conversations to high-stakes discussions. 1. Practice assertiveness. Assertive communication is about expressing your thoughts, needs, and boundaries clearly and respectfully, without being passive or aggressive. Being assertive means standing up for yourself while also respecting the rights and feelings of others. For example, I feel overwhelmed when I take on too many projects at once. I'd like to discuss how we can better prioritize our work. 2. Use I statements. I statements focus on your own feelings and experiences rather than blaming or criticizing others. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try, "I feel frustrated when I don't feel heard in our conversations." These statements reduce defensiveness and encourage open dialogue. 3. Ask open-ended questions. Open-ended questions encourage deeper conversation and show that you're genuinely interested in the other person's perspective. Instead of asking, "Are you okay?" try, "How have you been feeling about everything that's going on?" These questions foster connection, exploration, and mutual understanding. 4. Mirror and validate. Mirroring involves reflecting back what someone has said to show that you're listening and understanding. For example, it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed with your workload and not sure how to manage it all. Validation involves acknowledging the other person's feelings, even if you don't agree with their perspective. Saying, "I can see why you'd feel that way," creates emotional safety and fosters empathy. 5. Manage nonverbal cues. Be mindful of your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. Make eye contact, nod to show engagement, and maintain an open posture. These nonverbal cues communicate attentiveness, warmth, and confidence, reinforcing your verbal message. Handling difficult conversations. Difficult conversations, whether about conflict, feedback, or sensitive topics, are an inevitable part of life. Avoiding them can lead to resentment, miscommunication, and damaged relationships. Learning to navigate these conversations with skill and empathy is a hallmark of social intelligence. 1. Prepare mentally and emotionally. Before entering a difficult conversation, reflect on your intentions, emotions, and desired outcome. Approach the discussion with curiosity and empathy rather than blame or defensiveness. 2. Create a safe environment. Choose a time and place that allows for privacy and calm. Avoid initiating serious conversations when emotions are high or distractions are present. Creating a safe space allows both parties to feel more comfortable and open. 3. Focus on facts and feelings. Start by stating the facts: what happened, what was said, what you observed. Then, share your feelings and experiences. Use I statements to express how the situation affected you. This helps keep the conversation grounded and reduces defensiveness. 4. Listen actively. Give the other person space to share their perspective. Resist the urge to interrupt, defend, or correct. Focus on understanding, even if you disagree. Listening builds trust and opens the door to resolution. 5. Seek solutions together. Difficult conversations should lead to constructive outcomes. Work together to identify solutions, clarify expectations, and agree on next steps. This creates a sense of collaboration and shared responsibility. Conclusion of Chapter 5. Mastering the art of communication isn't about being the most eloquent or charismatic speaker. It's about being authentic, empathetic, and intentional. Effective communication involves listening deeply, expressing yourself clearly, and navigating challenges with empathy and respect. By developing your verbal, nonverbal, and listening skills, you can enhance every interaction, building stronger relationships, resolving conflicts, and connecting with others on a deeper level. Communication is the bridge between ourselves and the world around us. When we learn to cross that bridge with clarity, compassion, and confidence, we unlock the full potential of social intelligence. Chapter 6. Navigating difficult social dynamics. In an ideal world, every social interaction would be smooth, respectful, and harmonious. But in reality, we all face difficult personalities, tense situations, and complex group dynamics that can test our emotional resilience and communication skills. Whether it's a passive-aggressive coworker, a combative family member, or a group environment charged with unspoken tension, difficult social dynamics are a part of life. The way we handle them can make or break our relationships, reputations, and sense of well-being. Social intelligence isn't just about getting along with people who are easy to connect with. It's about learning how to navigate uncomfortable, high-stakes, or emotionally charged interactions without losing your composure or your values. This chapter explores strategies for dealing with challenging personalities, managing conflict, setting boundaries, and staying grounded in emotionally intense social environments. Recognizing difficult personalities. The first step in navigating difficult social dynamics is learning to recognize personality patterns and behaviors that create tension or discomfort. Understanding these traits helps you prepare emotionally and respond strategically instead of reacting impulsively. 1. The aggressive communicator. This person dominates conversations, interrupts others, and uses intimidation or volume to get their way. They may be confrontational or dismissive and often struggle to empathize or truly listen. 2. The passive-aggressive communicator. Rather than addressing conflict directly, they express frustration through sarcasm, subtle digs, or mixed messages. They may say one thing but mean another, creating confusion and eroding trust. 3. The chronic complainer. They focus on what's wrong in every situation but rarely offer solutions. Their negativity can drain group energy and foster a toxic environment. 4. The narcissist. Narcissistic individuals often seek validation, control, and admiration. They may lack empathy, dominate conversations, and shift focus back to themselves, often charming at first but manipulative in the long term. 5. The manipulator. This person uses guilt, flattery, or emotional pressure to get what they want. They may exploit kindness or twist your words to serve their agenda. Recognizing these behaviors isn't about judging, it's about staying emotionally prepared and choosing your response with clarity and strength. Maintaining emotional boundaries. When dealing with difficult personalities, emotional boundaries are essential. They protect your energy, self-respect, and mental well-being. 1. Know your triggers. Identify interactions or behaviors that spark strong emotional reactions, like guilt, anger, or anxiety. Awareness allows you to pause and choose a thoughtful response rather than reacting automatically. 2. Separate fact from emotion. People's poor behavior often reflects their own struggles, not your worth. Detach from their emotional intensity and stay focused on what's actually happening. 3. Set clear boundaries. Boundaries aren't about controlling others, they're about protecting yourself. You might say, "I'm not comfortable being spoken to that way," or "let's revisit this when we're both calmer." 4. Practice emotional detachment. This doesn't mean being cold. It means staying calm even when others are not. You're not here to fix them, just to manage your emotions and respond with integrity. De-escalating tense situations. High emotion interactions are common in difficult dynamics. Learning to de-escalate these moments is a critical skill. 1. Stay calm and grounded. Your calm presence can anchor the entire conversation. Slow your breathing, relax your body, and lower your tone of voice. 2. Acknowledge their emotions. People often escalate when they feel unheard. Say something like, "I can see you're upset. Let's talk through it." Validation creates emotional safety. 3. Don't match their intensity. Responding with the same aggression fuels the fire. Instead, maintain steady eye contact and speak slowly. Let your calm become the tone setter. 4. Redirect or pause. If things get too heated, it's okay to pause. Say, "Let's take a break and come back to this when we're both ready." Navigating group dynamics. Group settings come with their own challenges, especially when personalities clash or unspoken tension lingers. 1. Observe before engaging. In a new group or team, take time to observe. Who speaks most? Who holds influence? Who's quiet but respected? This helps you assess group dynamics before jumping in. 2. Read the emotional tone. Every group has an emotional undercurrent. Is it collaborative or competitive? Tense or easygoing? Reading the tone helps you adapt your approach. 3. Avoid triangulation. Triangulation is when a third person is pulled into a two-person conflict. This often looks like gossip or side-taking. Instead, encourage direct communication. "Have you brought this up with them?" 4. Foster inclusion. Invite quieter voices to share. Acknowledge contributions. Small gestures, like eye contact or a nod, build trust and cohesion. Handling criticism and feedback. Criticism is part of life, especially in professional and group environments. The way we receive feedback shows our emotional intelligence. 1. Pause before reacting. It's easy to get defensive. Take a breath before responding. This pause helps you regulate your emotions. 2. Separate tone from content. Sometimes, good feedback comes in poor packaging. Even if the delivery is off, ask, is there truth in this message? 3. Ask for specifics. If the feedback is vague, ask, can you give an example? This signals that you're open to learning. 4. Express appreciation. Even if the feedback is hard to hear, thank them. You don't have to agree, just acknowledge the effort. Final thoughts, the power of emotional strength. Navigating difficult social dynamics isn't about being perfect. It's about staying grounded, setting limits, and responding with wisdom. Social intelligence goes beyond charm. It's about resilience, choosing peace over power plays, clarity over confusion, and emotional maturity over reactivity. When you can hold your center in chaotic moments, when you can speak your truth without attacking or withdrawing, you become a force of calm and strength in any environment. By developing these skills, you protect your peace, build stronger relationships, and elevate every room you walk into. Chapter 7: Building Influence and Trust. Influence is not about manipulation or control, it's about connection, credibility, and trust. It's the ability to affect how people think, feel, and act, not through force, but through respect and understanding. In both personal and professional settings, influence is a critical element of leadership, collaboration, and success. But true influence isn't something you demand, it's something you earn. And at the heart of it is trust. Trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. When people trust you, they're more likely to listen, support you, and follow your lead. Without trust, even the most persuasive arguments or charismatic personalities fall flat. This chapter explores the principles of influence and trust, how they're built, maintained, and sometimes broken. It will equip you with tools to lead authentically, earn credibility, and cultivate lasting impact through your presence and actions. Understanding influence as a social process. Influence is a natural part of human interaction. Every time we share an opinion, offer advice, or try to motivate someone, we're attempting to influence their thoughts or behavior. Social intelligence allows us to do this effectively without resorting to pressure or pretense. There are different styles of influence. Some people influence through authority and logic. Others influence through empathy and emotional connection. The most effective influencers can adapt their style to the situation and to the person in front of them. Influence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, it's about being the most trustworthy, credible, and emotionally attuned. When people feel seen, heard, and respected, they're far more open to your ideas and leadership. The pillars of trust. Trust is not built overnight. It's earned over time through consistent actions, integrity, and empathy. There are 4 core pillars that build trust in relationships. 1. Credibility. Credibility means people believe in your competence, your knowledge, and your ability to follow through. It's built by demonstrating expertise, keeping your word, and communicating clearly. When you consistently deliver on promises and take ownership of mistakes, you earn people's trust. 2. Authenticity. Authenticity is about being genuine. It means showing up as your real self, not a filtered or performative version. People trust those who are consistent in their values, honest in their words, and sincere in their intentions. Authenticity doesn't mean oversharing. It means being real, even when it's uncomfortable. 3. Empathy. Empathy is your ability to feel what others feel and to respond with care. It helps build emotional connection and create psychological safety. When people sense that you genuinely care about their well-being, they're more willing to trust and confide in you. 4. Consistency. Consistency creates predictability, and predictability builds safety. When your actions are steady and dependable, people know what to expect. In contrast, unpredictable or erratic behavior breeds doubt and insecurity. These four, credibility, authenticity, empathy, and consistency, are the pillars of trust. When one is missing, trust erodes. When all four are present, trust grows strong. The role of emotional intelligence in building influence. Emotional intelligence is the foundation of influence. When you are emotionally attuned, when you read body language, notice hesitations, and respond with empathy, you naturally build connection and credibility. Influence is not about convincing, it's about connecting. For example, in a team setting, instead of pushing your viewpoint, a socially intelligent leader might say, "I sense some hesitation. What are your thoughts?" That question alone invites collaboration. It shows you're paying attention and that you value their input. Emotional intelligence also helps you manage your own emotional state. It keeps you calm under pressure, focused during resistance, and grounded in tense situations. People trust those who display calm authority because it makes them feel safe and understood. Nonverbal influence and presence. Influence is more than words. It's also about how you carry yourself. Your presence, your tone of voice, posture, eye contact, and expressions shapes how others perceive you before you speak. A strong presence says, "I'm confident. I'm open. I'm trustworthy." Here are a few ways to amplify your nonverbal influence. Stand or sit tall. Posture signals confidence. Use open gestures. Avoid crossing your arms. Maintain relaxed eye contact. Don't stare, just connect. Speak in a clear, steady tone. Fast or shaky speech can suggest nervousness. Smile when appropriate. It shows warmth and approachability. Your presence speaks volumes. Use it intentionally, and your influence will expand without needing to say a word. The importance of listening. Listening is one of the most underrated skills when it comes to influence. When you truly listen, not just wait to talk, you build trust. People are more likely to listen to you if they feel heard by you. Active listening makes others feel valued. It shows respect. It also gives you insight into their motivations and concerns, helping you tailor your response more effectively. For example, if a colleague voices concern about a deadline, you could respond, "I hear that the timeline feels tight. Let's see what we can adjust." That one sentence validates them, opens dialogue, and builds rapport. In a noisy world, focused listening makes your voice stand out. Leading with influence, not authority. True leadership isn't about rank. It's about the ability to influence, inspire, and serve. You don't need a title to lead. You lead every time you model integrity, solve problems, or help others feel seen. Influential leaders don't demand respect, they earn it. They don't dominate conversations, they elevate voices. They create environments where people feel valued, where ideas flow, and where collaboration thrives. And they lead not through control, but through credibility, clarity, and connection. People follow leaders they trust, not because they have to, but because they want to. Influence in action, practical scenarios. Let's look at how influence shows up in daily life. In the workplace, you're asked to take on a project you're unsure about. Instead of saying no outright, you could say, "I'd love to support this. Can we walk through the timeline together to make sure expectations align?" You're being assertive, respectful, and proactive, earning credibility and keeping trust intact. In relationships, when there's a disagreement, instead of arguing your point, you might say, "Help me understand your perspective." That one phrase shows emotional intelligence, invites trust, and transforms the conversation from conflict to connection. Influence is not always about changing someone's mind. Sometimes it's about changing how they feel, safe, seen, heard. How to build influence over time. If you want to become a person of influence, start with these habits. 1. Be consistent. People trust patterns. Be reliable in your tone, attitude, and actions. 2. Be curious. Ask thoughtful questions. Show genuine interest in others. Curiosity fosters connection. 3. Be helpful. Look for opportunities to add value, whether it's offering feedback, lending support, or simply being present. 4. Own your words. Follow through on what you say. If you make a mistake, acknowledge it. 5. Elevate others. Celebrate their wins. Share credit. People are drawn to those who make them feel capable and appreciated. Influence is not a one-time action. It's a daily practice, woven into how you listen, speak, act, and show up. Conclusion of Chapter 7. Influence and trust are the core currency of social intelligence. They're how you build meaningful relationships, inspire others, and create impact, not through force, but through connection. When you lead with emotional intelligence, communicate with clarity, and embody credibility and care, you become a source of steady influence in an unsteady world. The best influencers don't just change minds, they open hearts. And in a world where connection is rare, becoming someone who others trust and turn to is one of the greatest forms of leadership there is. Chapter 8. The Power of Presence and Charisma. Presence and charisma are often thought of as mysterious traits, something you either have or you don't. But the truth is, both are rooted in behavior, awareness, and intention. Presence is the ability to show up fully in the moment, with focus, calm, and confidence. Charisma is the ability to make others feel seen, energized, and inspired in your presence. Together, they create a powerful combination that draws people in, fosters trust, and enhances your influence. In this chapter, we'll explore what it means to cultivate presence, how charisma works on both a psychological and emotional level, and the practical steps you can take to embody both more consistently in your life. What is presence? Presence is not about being loud, dominant, or the center of attention. True presence is about being fully engaged with yourself, with the people around you, and with the moment you're in. It's the quality that makes someone seem grounded, focused, and self-assured without saying a word. When someone has presence, they exude calm energy. They listen attentively, speak deliberately, and carry themselves with purpose. They're not distracted or scattered. They're here. Now. Presence isn't just felt by others, it's also experienced internally. When you're fully present, you feel more centered, more confident, and more connected. You're not ruminating on the past or anxious about the future. You're in flow. The components of presence. Presence is built on a few key components. 1. Attention. The foundation of presence is your attention. When you give someone your full attention, without checking your phone, thinking about what to say next, or mentally multitasking, you communicate respect and care. People are drawn to those who make them feel seen and heard. Giving someone your attention is one of the most powerful gifts you can offer. 2. Intention. Presence is not just about showing up, it's about showing up with purpose. Having a clear intention for how you want to engage with others shapes your energy and focus. Before a conversation or interaction, ask yourself, how do I want to show up right now? Centering yourself on your intention helps align your behavior with your values. 3. Embodiment. Your body plays a key role in how your presence is perceived. The way you breathe, sit, stand, and move communicates volumes. Presence is felt when your body is relaxed yet upright, your breathing is steady, and your movements are deliberate. Embodying presence creates a sense of calm and authority that people respond to instinctively. Understanding charisma. Charisma is often misunderstood as superficial charm or flashy behavior. But real charisma is much deeper. It's the magnetic quality that makes people feel special, understood, and energized in your presence. Charisma is not about impressing people, it's about connecting with them. According to research by psychologist Olivia Fox-Caban, charisma has 3 core elements. 1. Presence. Being fully present makes people feel valued and seen. Charismatic individuals don't just look at you, they see you. They don't just hear your words, they listen to the heart behind them. 2. Power. Charisma includes a sense of inner strength and confidence. This doesn't mean arrogance. It means carrying yourself in a way that communicates clarity and stability. Charismatic people exude power not by overpowering others, but by embodying calm confidence. 3. Warmth. Warmth creates emotional safety. It makes people feel comfortable, accepted, and appreciated. Charisma without warmth feels cold or intimidating. Warmth without presence or power can come across as submissive. But when you combine all 3, presence, power, and warmth, you become magnetic. The psychology of charisma. Charisma has a profound psychological effect because it taps into 3 core human needs. The need to feel seen. The need to feel safe. The need to feel inspired. When someone makes us feel important, we're naturally drawn to them. Charismatic individuals often use behaviors like remembering names and personal details, using open body language and facial cues, asking thoughtful questions and reflecting emotions, speaking with energy, clarity, and emotion. These behaviors create emotional resonance and make interactions impactful. Charisma is not about being someone else, it's about amplifying the most confident, caring version of who you already are. Practical ways to develop presence and charisma. Here are several practical strategies you can use. 1. Eliminate distractions. In conversations, put your phone away. Make eye contact. Listen actively. Avoid planning your next response while the other person is talking. Give your full attention, and people will feel it. 2. Slow down. Presence lives in slowness. Speak a little more slowly. Pause before responding. Breathe more deeply. Rushing signals anxiety. Slowness signals confidence. 3. Align your body and voice. Make sure your facial expressions, tone, and gestures support your message. Smile when expressing warmth. Use hand gestures to show energy. Keep your tone steady and expressive. 4. Project inner confidence. Confidence doesn't mean knowing everything, it means being comfortable in your own skin. Stand tall. Take up space. Speak with conviction. People follow those who believe in themselves. 5. Practice empathy. Ask how others are doing and really listen. Celebrate their wins. Validate their feelings. Empathy shows in your tone, your eyes, and your energy. And people remember how you made them feel. The balance of humility and confidence. Presence and charisma are most powerful when grounded in humility. It's not about being the most important person in the room, it's about making others feel important in your presence. Charismatic people don't make the conversation about themselves, they make others feel seen, heard, and capable. True presence is not self-centered. It's other-focused. It says, I'm here with you. I see you. You matter. When combined with confidence and clarity, this becomes an irresistible force for connection and influence. Conclusion of Chapter 8. The power of presence and charisma is not a mystery, it's a skill. When you cultivate presence, you gain focus, calm, and confidence. When you develop charisma, you create trust, inspiration, and deeper connection. Together, they elevate your relationships, expand your leadership, and help you bring out the best in those around you. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to step more fully into who you are and let the world feel your presence. Chapter 9: Mastering Difficult Conversations. Difficult conversations are a part of life. Whether it's giving constructive feedback, addressing a misunderstanding, ending a relationship, or setting a boundary, these interactions are often uncomfortable. But they are also essential for growth, clarity, and connection. Avoiding them leads to resentment, confusion, and strained relationships. Approaching them with intention, empathy, and confidence transforms them into opportunities for trust and transformation. Social intelligence doesn't mean avoiding discomfort. It means knowing how to navigate it with skill and grace. In this chapter, we'll explore the psychology behind difficult conversations, the most common mistakes people make, and a step-by-step framework for approaching high-stakes discussions in a way that fosters understanding, respect, and resolution. Why difficult conversations feel so hard? Difficult conversations often trigger our fight, flight, or freeze response. Our nervous system interprets confrontation or emotional intensity as a threat and reacts accordingly. That's why we may feel anxious, defensive, or emotionally overwhelmed during these moments. We may fear being misunderstood, hurting someone's feelings, damaging a relationship, or being rejected. These fears can lead us to avoid the conversation or enter it with too much emotion and too little clarity. Recognizing that discomfort is a natural response, not a sign that something's wrong, helps us reframe these conversations as challenges to lean into, not escape. Common mistakes in difficult conversations. Before we look at strategies, let's highlight 4 mistakes that often derail difficult conversations. 1. Avoiding the conversation altogether. Suppressing your feelings builds tension. Unspoken issues fester, explode, or quietly erode trust over time. 2. Attacking or blaming. Leading with accusations triggers defensiveness. The other person may shut down, fight back, or feel shamed. 3. Becoming emotionally hijacked. When we let emotions take over, by raising our voice, crying, or withdrawing, we lose focus and derail the discussion. 4. Making it one-sided. If you talk more than you listen, interrupt, or dismiss the other person's perspective, the chance for resolution disappears. Recognizing these patterns helps you enter the conversation with intention and self-awareness. A framework for effective conversations. Use this simple framework to navigate difficult conversations with clarity and calm. Step 1. Prepare mentally and emotionally. Get clear on your purpose. What outcome are you hoping for? What values do you want to uphold? Name your emotions, whether it's anger, fear, or sadness, and regulate them before you speak. Use journaling, deep breathing, or talk to a trusted friend. Enter the conversation from a place of calm, not chaos. Step 2. Set the stage. Choose the right time and place. Avoid public settings, text messages, or times when emotions are high. Start with a calm tone. You might say, "There's something I'd like to talk about. Is now a good time?" This shows respect and invites collaboration. Step 3. Use clear, non-blaming language. Describe the situation with neutral, specific language. Then use I statements to express impact. For example, when the deadline changed without notice, I felt overwhelmed. I'd like to talk about improving communication. Avoid phrases like "you always" or "you never." They put the other person on the defensive. Focus on behaviors, not character. Step 4. Listen with empathy. After you speak, pause and invite the other person to share. Listen without interrupting. Validate their feelings, even if you don't agree. You might say, "I understand that was frustrating," or "That makes sense, I hadn't seen it that way." Listening creates emotional safety and opens the door to resolution. Step 5. Collaborate on a solution. Once both sides are heard, shift to problem solving. Ask, "What would help moving forward?" Or, "How can we make sure this doesn't happen again?" Co-create an agreement or next step. Be specific and realistic. Affirm your commitment to a better outcome. Dealing with defensiveness or escalation. Sometimes, the other person becomes defensive or upset, despite your best efforts. Here's how to stay grounded and guide the conversation back to center. Acknowledge their emotion. "I can see this is upsetting you." Suggest a pause. "Let's take a moment and come back to this when we're calmer." Reaffirm your intention. "I'm bringing this up because I value our relationship and want to move forward with clarity." If they refuse to engage respectfully, it's okay to end the conversation and revisit it later. Examples of difficult conversations. 1. Setting boundaries with a friend. "Lately, I've noticed I feel drained after our conversations. I care about you, and I also need to take care of my own energy. Let's find a way to stay connected that works for both of us." 2. Addressing conflict with a coworker. "In our last meeting, I felt my input wasn't fully heard. I know we both care about this project, and I'd like to talk about how we can collaborate more effectively." 3. Giving feedback to a partner. "When you interrupt me in public, I feel dismissed. I know that's not your intention, but I wanted to share this because I value our communication and want to feel respected." Conclusion of Chapter 9. Difficult conversations are not something to fear, they're something to master. With clarity, empathy, and courage, these moments become tools for growth, connection, and resolution. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up with honesty, humility, and a willingness to listen. Each time you face discomfort with emotional intelligence, you strengthen your relationships, build your confidence, and deepen your social wisdom. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And the more your words reflect the strength, care, and authenticity within you. Chapter 10. The Art of Listening and Connection. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, few are truly listened to. We live in a culture of noise. Constant notifications, rapid-fire conversations, and surface-level exchanges. Yet beneath it all, people are longing for depth, authenticity, and connection. And that begins with listening. Listening is more than hearing words. It's about being fully present with another human being. It's about tuning into their voice, their emotions, their silence, and their truth. Listening is an act of love, of leadership, of respect. It is the doorway to trust, understanding, and influence. In this chapter, we'll explore the difference between hearing and listening, the barriers that block connection, and the skills that turn you into someone who doesn't just communicate, but truly connects. Why listening matters. Listening is foundational to all relationships. It builds trust, diffuses tension, and helps others feel seen and valued. When someone listens deeply, it validates our experience. It tells us, "You matter." Think about the last time you felt truly listened to. That moment probably created a sense of safety and connection that stayed with you. Now think of the opposite, when someone was distracted, dismissive, or always interrupting. It felt dehumanizing, disconnecting, as if your voice and your presence weren't important. Listening is not passive. It's a deliberate act of attention, empathy, and care. Levels of listening. Not all listening is equal. There are different levels, with different impacts. Level 1, internal listening. You're technically hearing someone, but your attention is on your own thoughts. You're planning your response, judging their words, or thinking about something else. This is the most common level, and the least connective. Level 2, focused listening. Your attention is fully on the speaker. You're listening to their words, tone, and body language. You're curious, not crafting your comeback. This level builds trust. Level 3, empathic listening. You're not just hearing what they say, you're feeling what they feel. You might respond, "It sounds like that really hurt," or "You seem excited about that idea." This level creates deep emotional resonance. The barriers to effective listening. Even with the best intentions, it's easy to fall into patterns that block real listening. Here are some of the most common barriers. 1. Distraction. Multitasking, checking your phone, or thinking ahead pulls you out of the moment. To listen deeply, you must eliminate distractions and be fully present. 2. Judgment. When you listen through judgment, labeling, criticizing, or assuming, you stop hearing the person. You're reacting to your story, not their reality. Replace judgment with curiosity. 3. Impatience. Interrupting, rushing, or waiting for your turn to speak sends the message. Your words aren't worth the time. True listening means slowing down and respecting their pace. 4. Defensiveness. When you feel attacked, it's easy to shut down or strike back. But defensiveness blocks clarity and connection. Instead, pause. Breathe. Ask, what are they really trying to say? The skills of deep listening. Becoming a powerful listener is one of the most transformative skills you can build. It strengthens every relationship, every conversation, and every form of leadership. Here's how to deepen your listening. 1. Be fully present. Make eye contact. Face the speaker. Put away distractions. Let your body and energy say, "I'm here with you." 2. Reflect and validate. Repeat what you heard in your own words. Say things like, "So what I'm hearing is," or "It sounds like you're feeling." This shows you're truly listening and helps clarify meaning. 3. Ask open-ended questions. Invite depth. Try, "Can you tell me more about that?" Or, "What was that like for you?" These open doors to richer expression. 4. Hold space in silence. Silence isn't awkward, it's powerful. Some truths live in the pauses. Don't rush to fill the space. Let it breathe. 5. Listen with empathy, not ego. Don't listen to fix. Don't listen to win. Listen to understand. Empathy means entering their world, not pulling them into yours. Listening is emotional leadership. In times of stress, conflict, or uncertainty, listening becomes leadership. When you hold space for someone's emotions, when you listen without judgment, you create psychological safety. And safety is the birthplace of honesty, healing, and forward motion. You don't need to solve their problem. You don't need the perfect reply. You just need to be fully there. Whether you're supporting a friend, parenting a child, leading a team, or loving a partner, listening says, you're not alone. Conclusion of Chapter 10. Listening is the most powerful way to connect. It doesn't require brilliance, status, or the perfect words. It requires presence, patience, and care. When you become a better listener, you become a better communicator, a better friend, a better leader, and a more emotionally intelligent human being. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more presence, more empathy, more people who listen, not just with their ears, but with their hearts. Be that person, and watch how everything begins to change. Chapter 11: Social Intelligence in Leadership in Teams. Leadership is not just about strategy or execution. It's about people. At its core, leadership is a social act. It's the ability to bring people together, inspire them, coordinate efforts, and guide collective action toward a shared vision. And the glue that holds it all together? Social intelligence. Great leaders aren't just smart, they're socially smart. They know how to read a room, build trust, resolve conflict, and motivate diverse personalities toward a common goal. In this chapter, we'll explore how social intelligence shapes leadership and teamwork. You'll learn how to lead with empathy, foster psychological safety, and create environments where collaboration, accountability, and innovation thrive. Why social intelligence matters in leadership. Technical skills and business acumen may get you in the door. But social intelligence is what sets transformational leaders apart. Leaders are constantly navigating social dynamics, giving feedback, managing conflict, motivating performance, and aligning team efforts. Without social intelligence, these moments can create stress, confusion, or dysfunction. With social intelligence, they become opportunities for connection, clarity, and cohesion. Socially intelligent leaders create environments where people feel seen, respected, and valued. Because they tune into emotional and relational dynamics. They know when to step in and when to step back. They adapt their communication style to fit the person and the moment. They manage emotions under pressure and model calm, confident leadership. These skills don't just make leaders more likable. They make them more effective. The emotionally intelligent team leader. Here are the core traits of a socially intelligent leader. 1. Self-awareness. They recognize how their tone, mood, and presence affect the team. They monitor their emotional state and make adjustments as needed. 2. Empathy. They understand the perspectives and emotions of others. They don't lead with ego, they lead with insight into what motivates or stresses each team member. 3. Adaptability. They understand there's no one-size-fits-all approach. They adjust their leadership style depending on the situation and the people involved. 4. Clarity. They communicate expectations clearly. They listen actively. They lead with transparency and purpose, never hiding behind jargon. 5. Emotional regulation. They remain composed in tough conversations. They don't lash out or shut down. They manage their emotions and respond with intention. 6. Feedback fluency. They deliver feedback that's direct but kind. They also invite feedback, modeling openness to growth. These traits allow leaders to drive performance and build a healthy, connected culture. Psychological safety, the foundation of high-performing teams. One of the most powerful things a leader can create is psychological safety. A space where people feel safe to speak up, take risks, and make mistakes, without fear of shame or punishment. Psychological safety doesn't mean being soft. It means building trust. When people feel safe, they become more creative, collaborative, and committed. When they feel unsafe, they shut down or disappear. Here's how socially intelligent leaders build that safety. They listen without interrupting. They admit mistakes and model humility. They invite diverse opinions, even disagreement. They give credit generously. They take responsibility when things go wrong. And they show that people matter, not just their output. When psychological safety is high, innovation and resilience thrive. Managing conflict with social intelligence. Conflict in teams is inevitable, but how it's handled defines the culture. Socially intelligent leaders don't avoid conflict. They face it with empathy and curiosity. They seek to understand before being understood. They guide the conversation toward behavior and impact, not blame or personal attacks. When team members clash, these leaders help them communicate honestly, identify root causes, and co-create solutions. They don't pick sides. They hold space for resolution. By normalizing healthy conflict, they build stronger, more honest teams. Motivating diverse personalities. Every team is a mosaic. Different personalities, communication styles, strengths, and emotional needs. Socially intelligent leaders don't treat everyone the same. They tailor their approach to the individual. Some need recognition. Others need autonomy. Some want direct instructions. Others thrive with space and trust. This isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about paying attention. It's about building relationships and communicating in ways that resonate. When people feel understood, they show up more fully. Team rituals that build connection. Connection isn't built only through big retreats or annual reviews. It's built in the everyday moments, the little rituals. Here are some practices that foster trust and cohesion. Start meetings with a quick check-in. What's one word for how you're arriving today? Celebrate small wins and personal milestones. Rotate facilitation to encourage shared leadership. Create space for informal connection. Ask, how are you really doing? These rituals remind people, you matter. You're more than your role. Connection builds trust. Trust builds collaboration. And collaboration fuels performance. Conclusion of Chapter 11. Leadership is not a solo sport. It's a social art. When you lead with social intelligence, you create spaces of trust and inclusion. You navigate complexity with grace. You handle conflict with courage. And you motivate others, not with control, but with care. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to show up. Listen. Learn. Lead with presence and empathy. Because real leadership isn't about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. And when people feel cared for, they rise. They show up with more heart, more trust, and more commitment than ever before. Chapter 12. Applying Social Intelligence in Everyday Life. Social intelligence isn't just for leaders, teams, or public speakers. It's for everyone. It's for the parent navigating a tough conversation with their child, the partner trying to rebuild trust, the neighbor resolving a misunderstanding, or the friend offering support. It's for small talk that turns into real talk, for the moments of silence that speak louder than words, for the awkward encounters, the heartfelt goodbyes, and everything in between. Social intelligence is not a nice-to-have. It's a life skill, one that transforms not only how we relate to others, but how we understand ourselves. In this final chapter, we'll bring everything together. You'll learn how to integrate social intelligence into your daily interactions with friends, family, coworkers, and even strangers. You'll see how small shifts in awareness, language, and intention can ripple outward into deeper relationships and a more connected life. Everyday moments that build connection. You don't need dramatic events to apply social intelligence. In fact, it's in the ordinary, everyday moments that it matters most. 1. The check-in. Asking how are you is easy. But asking with presence, looking someone in the eye, Listening to their tone and caring about the answer is powerful. You can go deeper with simple follow-ups. What's been on your mind lately? Or, what's something that's brought you joy recently? These questions foster emotional intimacy and let people know they're not alone. 2. The repair. We all say or do things that hurt others, intentionally or not. Social intelligence helps us recognize when repair is needed. A simple, sincere, "I realize what I said may have hurt you. I'm sorry. Can we talk about it?" is often enough to rebuild trust. Apologizing doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. 3. The pause. In moments of tension, frustration, or overwhelm, the socially intelligent person knows to pause. They take a breath. They check their tone. They ask, "What's really going on here?" before reacting. The pause is what separates a reactive moment from a responsive one. Social intelligence in friendships. Friendship is one of the most sacred spaces for practicing emotional attunement. True friends don't just show up when it's convenient. They show up with presence, curiosity, and care. Here's how social intelligence deepens friendships. You listen without trying to fix. You validate without judgment. You celebrate their wins with genuine joy. You hold space for their pain without making it about you. Socially intelligent friends don't need to be perfect. They need to be present. They understand that connection doesn't come from having all the right words, but from having the right heart. Social intelligence in romantic relationships. Romantic relationships thrive on emotional safety, empathy, and communication. All pillars of social intelligence. Misunderstandings happen. So do differences in attachment styles, communication preferences, and emotional needs. The socially intelligent partner is not afraid to ask, "How can I support you better? What helps you feel loved? Can we talk about what's been on your mind?" They don't guess, they get curious. They don't assume, they check in. They don't weaponize emotions. They express them with vulnerability. When both partners practice social intelligence, conflict becomes a doorway to closeness, and communication becomes a daily act of love. Social intelligence in the workplace. Even if you're not in a leadership role, your social intelligence affects every interaction at work. It's what helps you collaborate across departments, navigate power dynamics, and handle feedback with grace. Here are a few ways to apply social intelligence at work. Acknowledge others' contributions publicly. Ask for feedback and receive it without defensiveness. Stay calm under pressure, model emotional regulation. Use names when speaking, it creates connection. Learn how people prefer to communicate, email versus face-to-face, direct versus relational. You don't need to be the most charismatic or extroverted person in the room. Being kind, clear, and emotionally attuned will take you farther than performance alone. Social intelligence with strangers. Even brief encounters with strangers are opportunities for connection. A warm greeting to your barista. Holding the door for someone. Making space for another voice in a group. These micro moments of empathy and kindness ripple outward. Here's how to bring social intelligence to everyday interactions. Make eye contact and smile. Say thank you with genuine tone. Ask someone's name and use it. Notice when someone seems upset and ask if they're okay. Treat service workers with the same respect as executives. The way you treat people when there's nothing to gain reveals your true social intelligence. Becoming a force for emotional safety. At its highest level, social intelligence isn't just about managing conversations. It's about becoming a force for emotional safety in the world. When people feel safe around you, safe to be honest, imperfect, emotional, or excited, they are more themselves. You create that safety by listening more than you speak, holding space without judgment, responding with kindness even when challenged, being clear about your needs while caring about theirs. When you embody emotional safety, people breathe easier around you. They soften. They open up. They grow. You don't just change conversations. You change lives. Conclusion of Chapter 12. Social intelligence is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about making people feel seen in a world that often overlooks them. It's about using your awareness to build bridges, not walls. And it's about showing up, not as who you think you should be, but as who you are, with compassion and clarity. As you move through life, remember this. Every interaction is an opportunity. An opportunity to connect, to understand, to lead, to listen, to love. Social intelligence is not just a skill set. It's a way of being. And when you choose to bring it into your relationships, your work, and your presence, the world around you changes. Because connection changes everything. Chapter 13, Conclusion, Becoming Socially Intelligent. You've come a long way. Over the course of these chapters, you've explored the core dimensions of social intelligence. How the brain processes emotion. How empathy connects us. How presence and charisma inspire trust. How difficult conversations can build bridges. And how everyday interactions shape our relationships and our lives. You've learned that social intelligence is not a talent reserved for the extroverted, the charming, or the loud. It's a quiet power, available to anyone willing to slow down, tune in, and show up with awareness and care. It's not about knowing all the right things to say. It's about creating emotional space for others to be seen, heard, and understood. Social intelligence is not just a communication skill. It's a way of being. One that honors connection, fosters understanding, and unlocks influence that is earned through presence, empathy, and trust. Here's what I hope you remember. Listening is more powerful than speaking. Empathy is not weakness, it's wisdom. Boundaries are a form of respect, for yourself and for others. Influence comes from trust, not control. Every relationship is a reflection of how you show up. Start where you are. You don't need to master everything overnight. Pick one concept or practice that resonated with you, and bring it into your next conversation. Breathe more. Judge less. Pause longer. Speak kinder. See deeper. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who truly understand each other. You can be one of them. And in doing so, you'll not only enrich your own life, but become a catalyst for change in the lives of everyone you encounter. This is the heart of social intelligence. Now, go practice it.